Kong is crap. I could leave the review there, but I won't get my 40 pence in ad revenue, so let's talk more. Let's talk about how I was fooled into purchasing Kong by some ne'er-do-wells on the internet who kept saying Kong was good, and then, after I bought it, they mostly vanished. These sick individuals cost me £3. I have to make at least 6 videos to scrape together that kind of cash. I'm basically destitute. All over the internet, people were saying things like, "Oh, Kong, you are the greatest ZX Spectrum game I've ever played in my life," or something to that effect. It was probably even more hyperbolic than that, but regardless, you said it. You. I know you're watching this, you Kong apologists. Even the reviews at the time were suckling on Kong's primitive teats. Here, Crash says, Ocean's Kong is a pleasing version too, with chunky graphics starting with Kong stomping up the screen and thumping the girders into position. The animation is good. No, let's get into it. The animation is good, they say. Look at this.
Booty, that big old booty, shake that booty.
Swiggity switty, Kong's animation is shitty. Even the stomp isn't a stomp. His legs just disappear. Why do his legs disappear? That's not how apes work. They don't have temporal hips. They are one of the closest relatives to mankind. Do your legs disappear when you stomp on girders? Don't lie, I know they don't. Stop trying to stick up for Kong. Next up, we have the noise. I can't call it music. I can't call it sound effects. It sounds like someone trying to start up a knackered lawnmower. Silence. Silence would have been better than this. What? No, none of this. None of all of that. I need to know your thoughts on Kong for a video. Tell me your thoughts on Kong. Well, kindest thing to say would be I didn't know any better at the time. This, and unsurprising, another Ocean classic, Hunchback, stood out for colour clash, underused sound, and incredibly difficult controls in lieu of actual challenging gameplay. The graphics are dreadful, the animation is laughable, the size of the barrels are ridiculous, and the collision detection is absolutely terrible. How on earth, after this abysmal example of a clone, did Ocean go on to secure the official ports for Spectrum? It's a big yes from me. Here's why. 1983 was by far and away easily the very best year for Specky games bar none. I'm sure anyone that had a Specky from new back in 1982 would remember the groundbreaking games 1983 brought us with the same level of passion. Gary, no. Bad Gary, you are the reason I now own this, and you're probably the sole reason why I hate it. I expected good things. I'm upset. In fairness to Gary and the blatant lies he's thrown around on the internet to get me to buy Kong, the levels in the game are pretty impressively close to what you'd expect from Nintendo's original. You have the barrel stage, you have the lift stage, you have the stage that's just sort of a stage, and you have the stage where you have to pull the pins out of the girders to make Donkey Kong fall on his arse. This all seems fair, but if I'm counting correctly, that's 4 screens. Crash Magazine says there's 5, and it says that in more than one review. Are they counting the title screen? Crash, you're just as much to blame here as anyone else. So there's the levels. The problem is really trying to actually do anything in those levels. Look, I get it. It was 1983. They wouldn't yet have learned from classics like Manic Miner or Chucky Egg or Horace and the Spiders. This was the year when platforms for the Spectrum were first starting to get things right. So I understand that things wouldn't necessarily be perfect, but I hate it. I hate the collision detection. I hate the way your hammer only seems to hit from one side. I hate the awkward jumping. I hate the way your man will absolutely refuse to climb ladders for no reason at all.
I read on the internet that our games have had a few bugs.
Nothing about the game feels good in a way that makes me forgive any of the other crap that's going on. I just had a quick go and I couldn't even get past the 3rd story, which means I'm either rubbish or the game's rubbish, probably both. Just go up the f***ing ladder! Ah! One of the best versions of Donkey Kong on the ZX Spectrum. You, Mersey Mel, you're going on my list. How dare you? Although, you could be right, truth be told. I never played any of the Donkey Kong rip-offs on the ZX Spectrum, and this could be where my ire resides. I grew up in Blackpool, and as such I had pretty decent access to an ancient thing called arcades. I remember later on in life the word arcade suddenly started to mean shopping centre, which is literally the most disappointing thing I've ever had to accept. But one of the games I used to love playing back then was Donkey Kong. I wasn't good at it, but I wasn't particularly good at any games at that age. What I liked about it was the simplicity and the feel of it. Even the inability to get past the first stage didn't stop the game from feeling right. And that's the issue with Kong for me. Take away the fact it's a rip-off and take it as a standalone game. It just doesn't feel right in my hands. It looks fairly basic, but I can forgive it that. It sounds like a Dalek's wet dream, but fine. I can turn the sound off. The problem is how it controls, and of all those people who say they love it, it's because it's the thing they grow up with. Played it for weeks on the ZX Spectrum back in the day. Loved DK in arcades, even though I was crap at it. After I got the Spectrum on my 10th birthday, this was the version I got, probably because we already had some Ocean titles and liked them. I was crap at this too, but I still loved it though. Played it recently, still crap at it. I'm 48. Kong was one of the games I got for Christmas, but it was a copy. Why Father Christmas gave me a copied game, I'll never know. But it was one of the first games I saw that had a loading screen, and a colour one at that. I was awestruck. Kong is crap, but that doesn't necessarily make these monstrous liars 100% incorrect. As a kid, you tend to grow attached to the things you're most used to, and not necessarily in a rose-tinted spectacles kind of way, but in a muscle memory way. When you spend hour upon hour with something because it's yours and you need to make the best of it, you kind of grow to love it. A bit like a mail-order bride who, when she turns up, seems to have some sort of upside-down face. At first you're weirded out, but after a few weeks of being weirded out by her strange upside-down features, you grow quite fond of her, and you start to walk on your hands just to make her feel comfortable. And that's exactly what you lot are doing. You're walking on your hands to make Kong feel comfortable because you're fond of it. And I can respect that. I don't agree with you. I think Kong is a massive bag of shit and I'll never play it again. But I can look at you walking on your hands next to your upside-down faced mail-order bride and say, you know what? I'm glad they're happy. I don't get it, and I think they're weird, but I will fight for their right to be wrong.